Yeah, thanks, Sean. I mean, it's really great to get that kind of view of kind of where the data is. But I'm guessing that, as we've talked about with kind of digitization and the internet, that some of that data is not going to sit within our organization. So can you talk a bit more about that and kind of some of the challenges that might bring?
Sure. If I just start with the data that's in the organization very, very briefly, because we talked about the ease of getting access to that data, and that is very, very true. Many companies will have good processes, good cultural processes already in place to support their business users in having access to that data. And then you have to layer on top the approach that those business users themselves take with how they manage and govern that data through maybe legal policies, but also cultural policies as well. Now, if you think about the level of training that's required in order to educate those business users to feel comfortable with accessing that data and manipulating that data to drive their storytelling and then sharing that data there afterwards. Add to that this idea that you may not have all the data that you need internally to complete that story that you wish to tell. So you may need to get some data from external sources. Now, data externally is readily available. Some of it is publicly available, free to download, and some of it you can go out and procure as an organization. Some of that data may be fairly not necessarily basic in its data entities, but in this notion of how risky it is. Weather, for example, there's not a lot of risk with getting external weather information to augment your internal information. But if you were to go out there and procure or download publicly available data sets to do with data concerning society, as an example, that's a topic of interest recently, then there's lots of risk that can be bound up in importing that data into your organization, not from a virus security perspective, but from a how trustworthy is that data that you're bringing in. Just because you've procured it or someone else has pulled that data together, you still have a responsibility to make sure that you undertake various checks on that data to make sure it meets your high standards of levels of trustworthiness.